Hi, everyone. I'm Elia Bean, and this is the Elia Bean Show. And today we have an amazing guest. She is Stacey Jackson. She is a mom of four. Oh my God, that alone is amazing. A mom of four. She's also an entrepreneur. She's a singer, songwriter. I mean, you've been everywhere. You have been an icon for a lot of stay-home moms. You didn't start
Oh,
yes, I mean, you started your career around your 40s because
yeah,
you decided
just
to stay,
before,
yeah.
yeah, I
Was
just
this
turned 40.
because
Hmm.
was this because you decided to stay home with the kids?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
took about 15 years off of my career. I made a decision to be home, a stay-at-home mommy. Quintessential PTA mom at school gates, taking the kids to the mommy and me classes,
Yes.
the whole thing. And I wouldn't trade that for a million years. But the as you get older, you get more and more comfortable. Taking risks is a bit more scary. And especially the industry that I'm in, it's very ageist. And so jumping back into the entertainment, into music industry was a bit of a challenge,
Mhm.
but I managed to tackle it, so here I am.
I love that. And that's why I wanted to bring you in here because as an entrepreneur, as a woman, as an artist, how did you make that transition from being a stay-at-home mom? Because first of all, being a stay-at-home mom is not easy. It's a hard
No,
job, right?
you
It's a hard,
bet.
and then
Hmm.
you also put that, your career on hold, and then coming back, making the comeback, I'm sure that wasn't easy. So how did you make that
No.
transition?
Um, well, I was always a creative, and so there's so many, there's only so much you can do, and with kids,
Yeah.
and it was always in me. And I think I have a really fabulous family. I'm very lucky. I have great support. My husband recognized how hard it was for me to be at home with the kids, and so he could focus on his career. And I also felt like I wanted to send really positive messages to my children that, like, you should always give your passions a try and never give up on your dreams. It was very
Mhm.
important for them to see that even if I had failed, that I had given it a go. Um, and I had an opportunity because a door opened. I was always in bands. Even when I had kids, I was still in a band, and I was able to get my performing bug out. And my dream was always to record an album, but obviously, that's a whole big deal. Like, if you're going to record an album, how do you get it out? How do do you get signed to a record label? Then the commitment of, like, touring and promoting it. And I mean, it just gets bigger and bigger. And you don't know where to start. It's a big
Mhm.
risk at any age, let alone almost 40 with four kids in tow. So um, I decided, okay, I moved to the UK, actually originally for my husband's job. So here I am, like a total transplant in London, and I joined a band, and that was, it was great because that was my thing. And I'd been speaking to the guys, and I told them that my dream was to record an album, and so they introduced me to some people, and I thought, how am I going to get this out? And what am I good at right now? And well, I realized I've just spent all this time with kids and I have a lot to add. So maybe I could align myself with a children's charity that specializes in music and getting kids, giving a platform for children to perform. So there is a great charity here called Music for Youth, and they basically do that. They all over the UK. They provide big festivals and stuff to get
Mhm.
kids who are talented up in front of their peers and their family. And I went to some of these concerts, and I was blown away by some of the talent. I was really blown away, and I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to give these kids the opportunity to record on an album, even though it was my album? I thought, let's see, how, if I, because there's one thing about performing, it's another thing, being in a recording studio with talented producers and putting something together, and that kind of didn't exist before. But I made it easy for them. I said, okay, we're going to do covers, and we're going to record a bunch of, but it's going to be our version of the covers. So I found the most amazing young guitarists and drummers and bassists. And these kids were incredible, and choirs, and I sprinkled them throughout the album. And one of the songs got remixed because there was a DJ associated with the charity. And all of a sudden, the record sitting between Lady Gaga and the Scissor Sisters on the club charts and the dance charts. And I started to get calls from other producers saying, you know, this record's really awesome and your vocals suits this genre of music. Would you like to write and record some original material? And I don't know, the rest is history. I mean, it's a long story, but you know, it was definitely a defining moment in sort of getting me back out there. And it was sort of an opportunity to sort of to use the experience I'd spent in raising my own kids,
Right.
and being able to teach other kids. And so I sort of, I guess I put the two together a little bit,
Yeah.
and made it work for me. And then here I am.
That's beautiful.
It grew from there.
I love how you talk about it with so much passion. And I believe that was one of the key, the key to success for you, because you have so much passion for what you wanted and you didn't stop it until you got it. So that's amazing. That's very inspirational for, everybody out there who is going to be listening to this, watching this. All those moms out there who are putting their dreams on hold right now. I was a stay-at-home mom too. And it's like, it's okay. It's okay. It's beautiful to have that time with your children when they're little, and then go up there and fulfill your dream, but never stop, never stop thinking that you cannot do both, or that you cannot do everything, because you're done everything.
I mean, I didn't do everything yet. I mean, there are some things still on my bucket list, but I think also, like I said, it's important to show your kids and give them those positive messages that you can do it. I mean, but support is very important. I had no choice. My husband had a completely different world of career to mine, and he traveled a lot. And so there was, I was, raising the children primarily, and I made that choice. And I think that support is so important. It's critical to anybody going out and doing what they've loved to do, because you do have, if you, like in your case, you have kids that you can't, somebody's got to be there to fill those gaps. And if you're not there, if you could have a nanny, great, but most people can't. And there are moms and there are grandmas, and my mother would fly over here at any second if she could. When I started touring, I mean, that was the worst for me, because it was like really the first time that I was away from them for longer periods of time when I started touring with my records. And that was like a big thing. And this was before FaceTime. So it was really hard. I'd call them, and it was hard, but I felt good that I knew that my husband was supportive and he was around more. My mom, like I said, came. So those things really help. They really do.
I love that. And I also wanted to ask you about your experience with Snoop Dogg. I mean, you got to meet him. How cool is that?
I got to meet him. And it was very old school as well. I mean, now you could pass parts back and forth. I could send anybody a track and they could do what they do and they come back. But it was more to that, because the record that I had written was a very spiritual. The lyrics meant a lot to me. My father had passed away right before I had my fourth kid, and he came to me in a dream. And this was the first and last ever time I've ever dreamt about my dad, by the way. And he said in my dream that this is your time. Now is your time. This is what you have got to do, because this is what you've been on the earth for. And it's your time to shine and show them what you got. And it was such literally an awakening that I wrote a song about that experience. And after, I'd had a couple of hit records in the dance and club world at that point. So my manager said, when I said I was writing the song, I needed a rapper. He told me that he had some dealings with Snoop and sort of gangster rapper world, and he'd probably record, and I'm like, really, Stephen, what are you smoking? Like, I don't, no way. And he said, no, the record's strong. He's going to like it. I don't even think before Snoop had said yes, I think I was already on the plane. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I wanted to experience this whole thing, like the whole thing, like being in the room, writing with him while he's doing his rap, understanding the message behind the record, even though it's a dance track, it's a very poppy, upbeat record. And understand my purpose as an artist and why I felt that it was so important for me to do what I do. And he and I got on literally like a house on fire. He was, we cannot be more opposite people in terms of how we grew up, but yet we had so many things in common. We both had kids the same age. We talked about parenting, and so it was just a lovely time. And I feel so fortunate to have had that experience, because it wasn't just about a song. It was more about really understanding each other, and him being so supportive of me living the dream. So it was great.
Yeah. He seems like he's a very spiritual person too.
Yeah, he is actually. It could be the weed. But
right.
he's but he is very thoughtful and extraordinarily talented. I mean,
yes,
he sings one note and it's Snoop Dogg. He's just the smoothest talent. I'm super fortunate I got a chance to work with him. I think he's awesome.
I love that. And you're sort of like basing your upcoming novel, which is going to be coming next year. On him, because
on my life,
on your experience with him, not on
my
him,
experience. Yeah,
but yeah,
it's definitely, he's definitely part of my journey, obviously. But the book is a fictionalized account of a mom who, in the book, she's actually a widow. She doesn't even have a husband in the book, which just makes it harder, obviously, to navigate juggling the family and then trying so hard to live her own dream. And then, of course, there's so much that happens because, this is post-COVID, and it's, and his her late husband and the business, and like she didn't know anything about his business. And so how she manages, of course, she, the big clincher is that she ends up going to record with a big rapper. So it is very much based on my life, but it's fictionalized, and it'll be out probably way in time for next year's Mother's Day.
Oh, that's amazing. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, that's the plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna get that book. Also, my other question was, when you had that, decided to write that book, was it during the time of COVID? How did your transition from COVID to, start touring again? And how was that for you?
That's a good question, because I had wrote it before COVID, and then COVID happened, and then people started to read differently, think differently. Life was changed for a lot of people, the majority of people. So I had to go in again, rewrite it. I had an editor. I think it's ready now, which is why I'm hoping to get the book out at the beginning of first quarter of next year. But yeah, life changed for everyone in every industry. I wrote I wrote a couple of new records as well. And in fact, one of them just went to #1 a couple of months ago. So that's really exciting. I wrote a single called Flipside, which is also it's the theme song for season 1 of Stacey Jackson in the 80s, which is a nostalgic television show that I host here in the UK on Sky. So it's been a whirlwind. Yeah, so I ended up writing a whole new album during COVID, and I'll probably put out a few of the tracks as an EP in the fall. But timing is everything with every business venture you do, right? So yes, I've got the book and that, and yes, I've got some records out. And by the way, I'm also hosting a TV show, and I've got 4 kids. So, and there's only one of me. I have to try
And
to
you also
focus.
have the Stacey Fit program
Stay
too.
fit. Yes, I
Stay
do. I
fit.
have a kind of
I
fitness
mean,
clothes.
that's what I'm saying. Like you're all over.
I'm just a creative,
You're so
more
creative.
that
Yeah.
excites me. And knowing that I can make something happen that's a minute ago, whether
Mhm.
it be a song, a fitness top, a book. I am, I just, and the buzz for performing the song, reading from the script that I write, or selling the book or the fitness top. It's the buzz for me is the creativity, is to
Mhm.
see it come to fruition, it's that, oh my God, this is an actual real thing. And oh my God, it didn't exist a minute ago. And now it's here and people are dancing to it. People are reading it. People are wearing it. People are liking it. And it's become a commercial entity. And there, to me, I that is the best part of being a creative, no matter what I do. I mean, my husband just tells me all the time, can you just focus on one thing? Just frickin' focus. I don't think he understands how my brain works. My
Right.
brain does not compute. I get inspired by something and I do it. And I that's how I roll.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
love it.
it's the
I can
passion
totally
behind
relate
it,
to that. Yes, that's it, right? It's the passion behind it and that creative mind. It's like
Yep.
I'm also a painter, so there's times where I'm painting, but there's times that I want to create something else, and there's times where I want to be writing, and there's times where I want to be doing the show. And so I just wanted to show this to the moms out there that there's no reason for us to be limited or for limited ourselves to just one role. Just because you're a
No,
stay-at-home mom doesn't mean you have to be just a mom. You're not just a
of course.
mom,
But
right?
every woman, every person, not necessarily just women, wear multiple hats. I mean, my
Right.
husband obviously does his business, and he's
Absolutely.
also a dad and a husband and a son and a brother and a friend. And, he likes to play golf. And I mean, he's got many, 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 many hats, and women do too. I mean, women,
Yes.
and but I believe that that's what makes a whole person. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not Stacey without, obviously, without my kids, I wouldn't be who I am. Without my husband, I wouldn't be who I am. Without all the creative output that I have the fortune to do, I am who I am because I have all of those entities. And that's, I think, with everyone, I
Absolutely.
believe. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I totally agree with you. Um, how does that? How did you started doing the Stay Fit program? How does that became like a thing for you?
Another silly passion of mine. I mean, I just, got big boobies, and I was suffering with finding the right workout top, that also had a built-in bra that supported me in the right way and didn't smush me down like a lot of those
Yeah.
bras. You have to, wrestle yourself in and out of them. And I thought, okay, zipping in and zipping out is one thing, but I didn't want a crop top because there's a lot of that going around. I'm a woman of a certain age, and no matter how fit I am, I still prefer a little coverage. And so I wanted something that you can get in and out of. They're very easy, that didn't irritate and didn't smush your boobs so that all the sweat would get trapped in after a run or a workout. And so I learned, this is part of my creativity. I learned about, fabrics and how do you put it together? How would you I went to Europe, Germany, I went to China. I mean, so it was a learning process. And I put it together based on what I felt like I needed. And then I realized that I was getting so much love for it. I sold it on the shopping channel, and now it's available on Amazon. And it, I'm obviously not the only person in that boat. I mean, it's a very niche thing. First of all, you have to be a woman to wear it. B, as an entrepreneur, you learn these things, right? You have to have issues with your boobs. You have to work out. You have to want to wear a fitness top. So like the market gets a little nichier and nichier, as long as but it doesn't matter. As long as you do what you love, it really, really doesn't matter. It's really important. Like, look, I love the dance music that I put out, but I mean, it's dance music. Not everyone loves dance music, but you have to just know who your audience is. And you have to do it for yourself. If you don't love what you do, no one's going to love what you do. It's very important.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. What about your show? What about your show?
My
80s?
show.
Yes.
Stacey Jackson in the 80s. Well, that was very weird how that came about. My agent contacted me for a casting call, so traditional audition. And I'm like, why do they want me? I'm a Canadian girl based in London. I don't have a British accent. I'm like, and I was like auditioning thinking I wasn't going to get the role. But, something to be said about passion. I mean, I grew up in the 80s. I know every lyric to every 80s song. And I don't know where I put my keys 5 minutes ago. Okay. So I don't know how this happens, but I still remember every lyric to every 80s song. I absolutely love that genre of music, or actually the many genres of music that came through that era. And I'm very well versed. Obviously, I'm a musician myself. So I nailed it. I obviously got the show. And so now it's a nostalgic television show based on, every week there's a different theme. So it could be soundtracks of the 80s. It could be women artists in the 80s. It could be rock and roll in the 80s, the British invasion in the 80s, you name it. And so I absolutely love it. I do a little bit of research, a few tidbits here and there about what songs I'm going to play. And then I play the original nostalgic 1980s video a la MTV style. And sometimes they don't have a really good most of the time they don't have even good quality. I have to find something, of the band maybe playing live performance or something, because back then there was no HD video. This is better quality now than there was back in 1980. But so I'm absolutely loving the show, and it's been a huge part of me now for the last year. And it's so trendy now. The 80s are so on trend, Kate Bush. Yes. Kate Bush, her song since Stranger Things, Top Gun, Hello. Like everything is just, even my kids. So a lot of the covers that I do are 80s songs, which is, it's just a coincidence, but I feel that it's not so much a coincidence because I grew up as my influences, right, in the 80s. But even the songs that I write have a little bit of a nod to the 80s. There's always a bit of that feel to it. So I guess they agreed that I was well suited to host the show. And, here I am a year later.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. You are truly an inspiration to a lot of women.
So sweet. Thank you. So are you. Your show is great. And
thank you.
Yeah, I'm very honored to be here chatting to you.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you were able to meet with me today and to have this interview and just to share your story and share, like your background and just to show the world, not just, women, but other women and men out there that are still putting their dreams on hold, that there's never too late to start doing that, just like you have that moment, that awakening moment when you have that dream with your dad and he told you, okay, this is your time to shine now. So it's like, don't forget, it's like, it is your time to shine now. And this might be an awakening call for someone out there who is just waiting to hear this. And that might be, that awakening moment for them to realize that this is their time for them to shine now.
100%, and sometimes timing is everything. Maybe back in my 20s, it wouldn't have been my time.
Right.
Maybe I was meant to have my children first, obviously. Yes. I mean, there are a lot of women out there who focus solely on their careers and then they want to have a kid and maybe it's a bit too late, or maybe they want to have a big family, but they can only have one, or I don't know. And it's okay to want both. Like you don't have to say I'm never going to be a mom or I'm never going to have a career. It doesn't work like that. It is absolutely okay to want and have both. And you can do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did the same thing. I had my kids when I was in my early 20s. I'm pregnant for the third time right now. So I feel like I'm starting all over again.
Congratulations.
Okay. Thank you. But it's okay. I'm excited for this too. I'm excited for, a new baby to come. And I'm excited for that. But I feel like I'm in a different state of my life where I can handle that. Whereas before in my 20s, I don't think I would have been able to cope with, the being a mom and having a career. Whereas right now,
it's hard.
I feel like it's completely different. Now.
Well, being a mother also gave me a lot of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Like before I had my first kid, I had no goddamn clue what I was. I never changed a diaper. Yeah. I was like, what? So it was kind of like winging it. And, but then I had a second kid and then I had a third kid and I just got better and better at it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I actually did or if it's just the confidence that I got. And that confidence made me realize that I could take risks and I could take chances, because confidence is so essential to any venture that you go out and do in your life. And I just felt confident. My kids are great and I made them.
Yeah, exactly.
and they're great. And I just feel so lucky that I had the luck to be able to stay home with them and help shape them. I'm definitely taking a lot of credit on the parenting side, but I mean, they're just, but I made that choice.
Yes.
Yeah. So here we are now, many years later. My kids are delicious and they come to my shows, and I think they've seen mostly every episode of Stacey Jackson in the 80s. I think they're probably sick of me now.
I love that, Stacey. I love that you have a beautiful mindset and your beautiful family, and you're just a great inspiration for a lot of folks out there. So thank you so much again for taking the time of being here with us and sharing your beautiful story with the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.